African tales for your enjoyment.
The Curse of the Shadows. It began in the quiet village of Obinze, a place seemingly lost in time. Hidden deep within the forest, the village was known for its ancient traditions, where belief in the spiritual world was woven into the fabric of life. But beneath its peaceful exterior, Obinze held a dark secret, one known to only a few: Madam Ireti's clinic. A front for our refined baby trafficking operation that stretched far beyond the village, powered by dark forces that had been sealed away from generations. The clinic thrived, not just because of the wealth and desperation of childless couples, but because of the terrifying protection offered by Agbara Nwoko, the secret shadows, a cult led by the enigmatic and feared Chief Priest Odu. His powers, drawn from ancient spirits, fortify the clinic's workers, binding them to an unbreakable oath of silence. No one dared speak of the horrors they saw. If they did, the curse would claim their souls, dragging them into the abyss. But there was more. Odu was not working alone. His partner, a woman known only as Iyanga, was as dangerous as he was. She was the keeper of the sacred text, a sorceress who had been at Odu's side since the beginning. Together, they wove a web of dark magic that kept the village, the clinic, and the surrounding regions under their control. For years, the clinic operated in the shadows, its activities shielded from the authorities by Odu's spiritual protection and the complicity of corrupt officials. Girls like Hada, Bisi, and Chioma were held captive, forced to bear children who were sold off to desperate couples, while the cult grew richer and more powerful. Every year, the workers renewed their oaths at the sacred shrine, their loyalty reinforced by blood and fear. To break the oath meant death, or worse, an eternal curse that would haunt their souls. But not everyone was blind to the truth. In the nearby town of Nkume, a journalist named Femi had been following rumors of the clinic for years. He had heard whispers of girls going missing, of babies being sold, and of a powerful cult that protected the entire operation. Femi was no stranger to danger, but he knew this story was different. Every lead he followed seemed to disappear. Every source he contacted either went silent or ended up dead. Still, he couldn't let it go. One night, as Femi sat at his desk, sifting through notes and old files, there was a knock at the door. It was late and he wasn't expecting anyone. When he opened it, he found two young women, Ada and Chioma, standing in the rain, their faces pale with fear. "We have to talk," Ada said, her voice trembling. "We escaped from the clinic." Femi led them inside, offering them tea as they slowly unraveled the horror they had lived through. The stories they told were worse than anything Femi had imagined. The clinic wasn't just a baby factory, it was a prison, where young girls were treated as livestock, forced to give birth to children who were sold like products. And the clinic wasn't just protected by money or corrupt officials, it was protected by something much darker. "Chief Priest Odu," Chioma whispered, "and his partner, Iyanga. They are not just ordinary people, they control everything. They've placed the curse on the workers, on the entire village. No one speaks of the clinic because they are afraid of the curse." Femi felt a chill run down his spine. This was bigger than he thought. He had always known there was something strange about the clinic, but the involvement of a cult, dark magic, and ancient curses was beyond anything he had expected. "We have evidence," Ada said, pulling out a bundle of papers. "Documents, names of the babies, the families who bought them, and the girls who were forced to stay there. But we can't go back. If they find us, they'll kill us. Femi knew this was his chance. He had to act quickly. He contacted the authorities, but even they were hesitant. Everyone knew about Odu's power. The police had tried before to investigate, but they always came up short. But this time, Femi had proof. He had the names, the documents, and most importantly, 2 survivors willing to testify. The next morning, the authorities launched a covert investigation. Femi, Ada, and Chioma stayed hidden, fearing that at any moment, Odu and Iyanga would discover their plans. They knew the calls wouldn't go down without a fight. In the village, Chief Priest Odu sensed the disturbance. The spirit he consulted warned him of the coming storm. Iyanga, always calm and collected, suggested that they prepare one last ritual, something powerful enough to seal the clinic's secrets forever. But Odu hesitated. There was something in the air, something he couldn't control. 2 days later, the raid began. Police, accompanied by Femi, stormed the clinic. They broke through the fortified gate, but what awaited them was beyond belief. The clinic workers, fortified by the ancient spells of Odu, fought back with an unnatural strength. But the authorities pressed on, arresting the guards, freeing the captive girls, and gathering the damning evidence. Chief Priest Odu and Iyanga, realizing their time was up, fled into the forest, retreating to their sacred shrine. There, they planned one final ritual, a dark ceremony that would call upon the spirit to curse anyone who revealed the secrets of the clinic. But Femi wasn't done. He knew the clinic was only half the story. He needed to find Odu and Iyanga before they could complete their ritual. With the help of the police, they tracked the pair to the shrine deep in the forest. What they found there was a sight out of nightmares. Odu and Iyanga stood surrounded by ancient symbols, their voices chanting in a language no one understood. The air was thick with dark energy. Femi felt a cold dread wash over him, but he couldn't turn back now. With a burst of bravery, the police broke through the ritual, arresting Odu and Iyanga before they could complete their spell. The chief priest's eyes burned with rage as he was dragged away, but he said nothing. His silence was more terrifying than any threat. The trial that followed was the event of the decade. Odu and Iyanga, along with Madam Ireti and her accomplices, were brought to court, facing charges of human trafficking, child exploitation, and countless other crimes. The courtroom was packed with journalists from all over the country covering the case. Every detail of the court's operations was revealed. How the girls had been lured, how the babies were sold, and how the ancient rituals had been used to protect the operation. When the verdict was finally read, the courtroom was silent. Chief Priest Odu and Iyanga, for your crimes of human trafficking, conspiracy, and the use of dark rituals to fortify your illegal activities, you were sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. Madam Ireti, the face of the clinic, received the same sentence, as did the clinic workers who had willingly participated in the trafficking. But for those who had been forced into silence by the cult's curse, the court showed leniency, recognizing that they too had been victims. The village of Obinze, once under the control of dark forces, slowly began to heal. The shrine in the forest was abandoned, and the power of Chief Priest Odu and Iyanga faded into history. But for those who had been involved, the scars remained. Femi's story made headlines across the country. He had uncovered a conspiracy that spanned generations, brought down a powerful cult, and freed countless innocent lives. But even as the story faded from the news, Femi knew that the shadow still lingered. Odu's final words before he was taken away echoed in his mind. This is not the end. The spirits are never silent. And though the village seemed peaceful, Femi couldn't shake that feeling that somewhere, deep in the forest, the spirits were waiting.